Hey, what's good? You are now rocking with the best. You see us on the screen, Bleav in Cowboys, presented by FanDuel. Roll Parrish, Jesse Holley. We've both been traveling. One of us
Yeah.
has been doing something a little bit more important, which is my man Jesse Holley has been out on the West Coast with all the NFL rookies. Before we go into the schedule release, we're going to touch on that. I need to know about your experiences. What were some of the highlights when you were with all the NFL rookies in Los Angeles?
So we correction. I was with the Cowboys rookies.
Got you.
I was with the Cowboys. I was with the Cowboy rookies and got a chance to speak to the Cowboy rookies. And I know that everyone is excited about Caleb Downs. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. Be excited about Caleb Downs. Hope that he's going to be a fantastic player and all that is to come with that. But the one player that stood out to me and, the energy, the look in the eyes, the questions after I was done talking to myself and Josh Brent, who was also a speaker there, was Jayshon Barham. And Jayshon Barham, linebacker, defensive end out of Michigan. Listen, I've met with the rookies in the last 8 years. So all of your favorites, I've stood in front of and I got a chance to talk to, and I like to believe that I'm a judger of good character. And I don't know what football stuff. I'm not a psychic, mentalist. I don't know how the play is going to go, but I judge these young men off how do we interact? Can you pay attention? Right? Are you taking notes? And then when you get a chance to ask someone who has gone and done something before you questions about how you can be better at it, I'm like, that tells me a lot about a person. And Jayshon Barham, after the conversation was over to me, he asked myself and Josh Brent was about like, man, how do you guys study? What are some ways to get better on, off the field, nutrition wise? And, he's like, man, he's like, we all study, but like, how do you study for the league? And how do you prepare yourself for this? And he looked me in my eyes and he said, because I'm trying to take a job. He said, I'm trying to take a job. And I was like, okay. This is the kind of energy that you would want from your young draft pick is a person who is coming in with the mindset of, I'm not just here to participate. I'm not just here because, I like what the game gives me. No, I want a job. I'm coming to take a job. Whoever's in front of me, whatever obstacles they put in front of me, I'm coming to get a job. And I'm tapping into all of the resources on how I can better position myself to do so. And he stayed and we talked, like I said, myself, it was a couple other guys in there, but he was the main one asking the questions to Josh and myself for at least another 20, 25 minutes, just trying to soak up some knowledge, just trying to be like, man, listen, if I have any more questions, can I call you? Can I call me? You got my number, whatever questions that you may have, whatever that I can help you on, whatever, if you're looking for certain things or nutrition wise or things that get your body better, whatever it is, ways that you can get an advantage on and off the football field. He just wanted all the information. He wanted to know. He wanted to put it in his Rolodex so that whatever it is going forward, that he would be well equipped to handle it. He was asking about training camp in the NFL, the different training camp in college, and what are some of the ways that you make it through training camp. And so the kid was eager to learn. That I took away from that, and the look in his eyes is like, I want a job. I want a job. I'm coming to take me a job. And so, and this is not saying that Caleb didn't do it or wouldn't have done it. I'm just saying the guy who did it. And that stood out to me a lot. And he had this look, man. He had the look. He had the eye of the tiger. And he already has kind of that serious, menacing look in his face already. But this is a kid, and the group as a whole, it didn't feel Hollywood, right? It didn't feel like we were just happy to be here. It felt like a group of young men who were like, nah, we understand the severity of what's been going on here, and we are a big push and a big portion towards changing whatever old culture was here, especially the defensive guys. They are very, very aware that their defense sucked last year. They are very aware of that. They may not know, Caleb Downs on this podcast, they may not know it's been 30 years that the Cowboys have been to the Super Bowl, but they are very aware of how historically bad this defense was, and they understand, to be, young players, they understand that a lot of it's going to be put on the shoulders of Malachi Lawrence and Jayshawn Barham and LT Overton and Jayshawn Barham. They get it. They understand it. Devin Moore. They all get it. They all are like, yeah, we know. we have an uphill battle that we have to go out there and attack, and they're the young men to get it done.
No, it's interesting that you say that. Number one, I love to hear someone that is absorbing essentially a sponge for the knowledge. You love to hear that. But when it came to the pre-draft, things that were used to describe Jayshawn, you heard bully, you heard Debo. Those were two descriptive names that were used to describe him. But then to hear that he also has, that real juice, that he wants to be a superhero. You hear those things. Interesting to see how that translates, if he's able to take that knowledge and apply it, use his athletic ability, and it translates to success on the field. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, my eyes will be locked in on that when we get to training camp because that's going to be the biggest thing for a lot of these rookies. It's coming in and you're getting a ton of information just simply going from college to the pros, right? And you no longer are just the best athlete out there. Everyone's good. Everybody's strong. Everybody's good. Everybody's fast. And now you're going up against guys who have been here a while, as far as like the offensive athletes you're going up with. So they how you set your moves up will matter, because they're like, oh yeah, we've seen that one. I've seen that one 100 times. So you try again, Rook. And then Christian Parker coming in with this with his own version, as he'd like to say, that it's not the Vic Fangio or the Philadelphia Eagles defense, it's the Cowboys defense. His version of that level of defense is complex. It just is. And so the wording of it, the responsibilities of it, all of that comes in to play when you have a young player trying to absorb the game. And it's different when you're out here now and it's walkthrough and it's jaw tempo and it's helmets. No, it's no helmets. It's just shorts and jerseys. It's different. You don't have CeeDee Lamb coming in motion and Javonte Williams coming down at you and Jake Ferguson running up the seam and Dak Prescott is back there calling out the plays. And now you thought you had it figured out. Now he's an audible. It's different when the live bullets are actually flying. So taking all of that information and trying to absorb it and then go play fast. That's going to be the key. Can you absorb it, regurgitate it, and then go play fast? That's going to be the key to these young guys. And for right now, whatever the steps that they can take right now, it seems to be that they're doing a good job taking the proper steps, absorbing all of the information, and just learning how to be a professional. And that comes in so many different cups, because it's not just, play football. It's how to recover, what to eat, sleep, massages, how to study. You'd be shocked, bro. You'd be shocked. Maybe you won't. But most people will be shocked. Some of these cats just don't know how to sit down and watch film, what to look for on second downs and third downs and fourth, formation wise and things like that. It ain't just turn on the film and just sit back and like you watching Netflix and chill. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand scenarios and situations and down and distance and hatches, and now starting to piece together, but this formation, what are the plays that they ran out of this formation? They only really run out on first downs. And on first downs, 47% of the time, they're probably going to run this type of play from that formation. Now that information, you gather that, you take those educated guesses on the field, and 47% is like a batting average, right? If you're hitting 400 in baseball, that's damn good. If you're right 47% of the time on football, on formation, stuff like that, damn good. You know what I'm saying? So learning how to do all of that is a part of that becoming a professional process.
No, I mean, Bill Parcells, the more knowledge you have, the faster you play. I remember him saying that repeatedly when he was the head coach of the Cowboys. I love being around him because he was, he's Bill Parcells, number one, but he was always teaching. Everything he said meant something. And just to take you down memory lane and that from that aspect. But what you said is right. I've heard so many stories about, guys not really understanding how to watch film. I've mentioned, if you're a fan of this podcast, thank you for listening, liking, and subscribing. Ed Reed's a good friend of mine. And I've always said, we still haven't done it yet, but I'm like, bro, I really want to sit with you and watch some film one day just to see what you were looking at. To take it to another sport, I remember hearing Michael Wilbon, who's on ESPN, said, he's sitting watching the game with Magic Johnson, and he sees the game in a completely different way. Obviously, that's Magic Johnson. There's levels to this. But when you're a professional and you do things a certain way, you see the game a certain way. You see it differently than the average layman.
No, you do. And that's the to the point what Bill Parcells is talking about. You want to play fast? Know what the hell you're doing. You know what you do. Like, it's anything in life, man. You know what you're doing. You react faster. You're more confident in doing it. And so that all comes about putting the sweat equity in the film room, in the playbook, and then getting out there in the practice field so that all three of those things align. What I saw in film, what I heard in the meetings, and now what I'm doing on the practice field. That's why when you get to Sunday and you talk about the greats, the elites, when they get out there, it's like, man, how it looks effortless. Well, those dudes know what the hell they're doing. And it's because they have the information already up here, and they know what they're doing is right. So I can just go and play. And so these rookies, they get that, they understand it, and now it's all about being able to implement it into their everyday ecosystem, and hopefully it all works out for them.
No doubt. Bleav in Cowboys is the podcast. Jesse Holley and Ro Parrish. Now, I need to know, was there any other things that stood out while you were with the Cowboys rookies in Los Angeles?
No, they just the rookies. I would say, like, they understand their position. Like, they understand. Like, they know, because sometimes guys come in and I said I've done this for a long time. And some guys come in and they're Hollywood. They're like, man, like, yo, I get to be a cowboy and this and the glitz and glam of the game. I didn't feel that from this group. I just didn't feel it. I just felt like this group has a very mature understanding of the responsibilities that will be on their shoulders this year. Now, does that mean that they're all going to work out in their favor? I don't know, but they understand. They understand that we're not coming here to take part. We're coming here to take over. And they know that it is going to be vitally important that the name that was called in the draft this year, the names that are sitting in that room, are on top of their game, because it's going to be needed. When you talk about, an NFL roster is churned over, 33% of NFL roster is churned over every single year. I think the Cowboys defensively, it was more like 60, 70% of that defensive roster had been turned over. So, all of these guys are coming in. They weren't a part of that historically bad defense. Though they weren't a part of it, they're aware of it. And they know that if this thing is going to have any good come out of it, the offense will be who the offense is. We have to do our part. And that's rare from a rookie class, not just an individual, this entire class. They just understand, just talking to them and listening to them, they understand the brevity of the moment that they're getting ready to step into as rookies on this defense, under this defensive coordinator for this particular team, and how important it is for them to have success, for this team to have overall success. This defense doesn't show up. If this defense takes, not a step back, because you can't get any worse than worse. But if it doesn't take, an adult-sized step forward, we'll be sitting here in 6 months saying, boy, 31 years since the Cowboys have been, it'll be bad. And that's the thing I took away from it, is that they understand how important they are to the success of the Dallas Cowboys in 2026, 2027.
No doubt about it. Before we move on, I got to get some nuggets from two players that we talked about before when it comes to rookies. Obviously, we mentioned Caleb Downs. Just for the fans that watch and want, they can't get enough of Caleb Downs. Anything that you can add from your interaction with him during this session?
Yeah, Caleb is smart, man. This dude is a football savant. I said this before. I interviewed his father. Caleb and I have a really, really, really good friend that trained me 20-something years ago coming out of school and has said none of the good things. But just Caleb's a bright dude, man. When you talk to Caleb, you like, oh, this dude, he gets it. Like he's not some airhead football player. Like, again, not to sound repetitive, but I've done this a lot. I've talked to some of these guys, and I've left some of those meetings, and I've been like, this who we got. This I know how this will end. Like this, we got. Caleb is so bright, man. He's so smart. He is intentional. Like Caleb Downs is very intentional. He is thoughtful. Like there won't. I'm not gonna put all that on him. I would be shocked. I would be shocked if you see things being said and or done from Caleb Downs that just look random. He's not a random person. He's not this, you know what I'm saying? Like he's not a random. When you talk to him and you're around him, Caleb is like what he says. He like if you ask him a question, he'll pause for a second. Like you ask him a question, he's not responding to respond. Like you can see him physically take in the information from your question and think to himself, what is the best way to answer this? You know what I mean? And like that's how he like lives his life. It's always like, all right, I'm going to the lunchroom. What will be the best meal for Caleb Downs to eat today that'll give me a competitive advantage? He ain't just going down there like, you know what? Yeah, give me like it seems very, very intentional about what he do. Like I'm going down here for this reason. You know what I mean? And young men like that don't find themselves in bad situations because they're like, probably shouldn't go there. Very aware of the situation, very aware of the surroundings. He's just an intentional dude, man. And I just hope what I see off the field from Caleb and what I've seen prior to him getting to the NFL, that all comes together and it translates and he's able to be impactful on the football field because intelligence-wise, I'm willing to bet a large portion of the house that he won't have a trouble in that department. You know what I mean? But there is a learning curve that has to take place, and we'll see.
We will see. Will Sullivan, the gentleman you mentioned who works with him, who also worked with Darrelle Revis, the Hall of Famer, all-pro defensive back who has some of the best Nike signature shoes ever. I wish that they had made a part two. That's another conversation for another day. Bleav Cowboys brought to you by FanDuel. Jesse Holley in his LL Cool J red Adidas sweatsuit because you know he is bad.
Yeah, LL Cool J, baby. Let's go.
Hey, someone else who's bad is Michael Trigg. You mentioned him before. You know that goes undrafted, but kid can play. You spoke very highly of him before speaking to him. What was the interaction like with you two meeting?
Yeah, I pulled Trigg to the side and I expressed my enthusiasm for him being here because I like the kid. I do. I really do. And I say kid respectfully. But I also told him, I said, listen, you know what your rap sheet says. Like, let's not dance around it. You now have an opportunity to change the narrative. Like you have an opportunity to change the narrative. Don't let your past stick to you in this new opportunity. And he was like, you're right. You know, so I was honest with him. I was like, because the moment it does, and I was very candid about how the media does different things. And I was like, listen, my guy, the moment you allow yourself to get out of character, the moment you allow yourself to kind of sway away from the path that you need to be on, we're going to talk about what you did in the past. Sorry. That's the bed that you made. Now, you can change those sheets or you can continue to lay in that mess. And I was honest with him, and he understood it. And he was like, "You're right, you're right." I'm like, "You don't get more." I said, part of the reason that you dropped was because of that. Now you have a chance to put all of that behind you and have a clean slate. He was like, "Man, you're right." He's like, "Man, I'm telling you, I'm locked in, I'm focused." And I'm just like, I said, "You have an opportunity here." And I told him, I said, "Your quarterback loves his tight ends. If you will go out there and make plays for this quarterback with those two dogs on the outside, brother, you will write your ticket to whatever contract that you want." And the league is turning towards more that tight end friendly type thing. So, like I said, I was honest with him. He came off as a person who understood it. But yet, it's yet to be seen. But I let him know, you have the talent. That's evident. And I said, I've spoken to a couple of your coaches here. They love you. His tight end coach in particular, I spoke to him outside of the building, and he loves him. And he loves Michael Trigg. Alunda Wells loves Michael Trigg. And so, again, they understand the position that they're in. I just hope that because the Cowboy brand consumes people. It's never going to be dwindled down. Jerry's never going to go, "You know what, maybe we should." No, Jerry's like this. He's like, more, turn it up, more visibility, more talking, more cameras. The Cowboys play 6-7 primetime games this year. Caleb Down said in his podcast, he said he was with Carnell Tate, who is the receiver from the Tennessee Titans, and he's like, "Man, we got about 6 or 7 primetime games." And Carnell's like, "We play noon every week." And then Caleb said, "The only time we play noon is, oh yeah, we play the Titans." So this brand consumes people, and where it starts now, it's quiet at the start. Ain't nothing really happening. Tours here and there, but it's quiet over there. The big dogs ain't got back there yet. Media's around, but folks are getting married and taking vacations and doing off-season stuff. But when the lights come back on, if you're not focused, people start telling you how great you are. Your stuff don't stink. You got bread now. You out and about. The city is just like whatever you want, when you want, how you want. And people begin to start believing the hype when you haven't done anything. I mean, nobody's done anything in 30 years of real football relevance for the Cowboys. But that doesn't stop cats from still feeling like they're larger than life. And yeah, if you're CD or you're George or you're Dak, yeah, you get that level of love. But I mean, you look across the board, you look on social media, and it's cats that think they like him. And so this place consumes you. And so these young guys, they talking a good game right now, but when the lights really are on, that's when you got to see those dudes lock in.
No doubt about it. You see him, Jesse Holley, Parrish, Bleav in Cowboys, all presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Jesse, you are a media professional. You mentioned the schedule. That is how we segue into this season's schedule. It is, and before we even jump into the schedule, I just want to get your thoughts. Take your football analyst objective hat off and just put on your entertainer player hat. When you saw the Tyler takeover, the Great Wall of Tyler, how they released the schedule, what were your thoughts on the opening day schedule release video that the Cowboys social media team put together? You weren't a fan?
Nah, I wasn't a fan. I wasn't quite a fan of it. And shout out to my guys over at DallasCowboys.com. I love those people over there. I just wasn't. To me, I mean, it had some funny moments in there, but let me not be so critical. It was okay. Let me not be so critical. Let me not. But when you look at across the league, there's some bars that set pretty high. You want to be entertained. I don't know if I was entertained. I wasn't quite entertained. When I have to, there's some times when you're watching something, TV or what have you, you want to not think about it. You want to just laugh and I don't want to have to kind of go back and play like, oh, what did they do in the poster in the back? And and then the three Tylers, and one of the Tylers, I won't say which Tyler, but one of the Tylers, he just, I don't know, man. It's just like, is there anything on in there? You know what I'm saying? Anything on in there? But it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't their best work, but it was okay.
I thought it was actually hilarious, the detail. And me being on this side, obviously you've been on the other side, being a player, being in the locker room, everything that comes with it. I've been on the side where you have to be on it when it comes to action and be an actor and be in that position and know your lines and stick the lines. I don't know how much scripting was put into it, but I got to applaud each of the Tylers for at least appearing. No, they're not going to be bringing home any Academy Awards. That is true. However, seeing how they executed the script and they played to it, they had a little bit of humor. They had some, Dak makes it. I thought that it was quality. Was it the best one I've ever seen? Maybe not, but I was entertained. I'm not going to give it 2 thumbs down. I thought it was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, I was being a little bit too critical. It was
All right. Hey, moving right along. Hey, we're looking at the schedule. There are some brutal stretches, 2 division opponents off top, 1 less home game, the team traveling to Rio. Second time the Cowboys have played an international game all time. If you do remember, the Cowboys did beat Jacksonville a couple of years ago. It was almost a decade ago in 2017. But the first 5 games, you got 5 games versus playoff opponents to start the season. Your thoughts about the first part of the schedule? Let's see, we'll go from the first game of the season through the 7th game of the season through Monday night. So you got the Giants, Commanders, Ravens, the Houston Texans, Tampa Bay on Thursday Night Football, Packers, Eagles on Monday night. Which one of those games sticks out to you most in that first part?
Well, I'll say this. In those first 7 games, the Cowboys will be road warriors. Even though the Rio game is technically a home game, 5 of the first 7 games are on the road. And you're talking about traveling. This is why I always laugh when owners and stuff say, "Oh, we care about the players' bodies and the players." No, you don't. No, you don't. Yeah, exactly. The Cowboys have the 4th most traveled schedule in the league. They're going to be on the road a lot. So they open up the season. 5 of the first 7 games will be on the road. And of course, you always look at, and I can tell you as a former player, when the schedule comes out, you already know who you're going to play. But when the schedule comes out and when you're playing them, there are certain games that you go and you're like, all right, this is just me. I always looked at December. Because I wanted to make sure December didn't have, Green Bay,
cold weather game.
You didn't want to go to Pittsburgh. It's certain games you look at. You like Chicago. You like, all right, who we got in December? Because you go to Pittsburgh and Chicago and Denver. You like, it's gonna be rigged. Kansas City, so certain games. I always went to December 1st. I wanted to see who was going to be where in December, and open up the season. This is going to be so critical, Ro, to me, because there's so much on the line, and there is if not maybe one moment to take a breath in this schedule. And that's Tennessee, which is sandwiched in between San Francisco and Philadelphia, right? So, that's a small, quick breath because you're going to be in a dogfight with San Fran, and you darn sure will be in a dogfight with Philadelphia. Earlier in this season, I'm saying you got to come out the gates blazing. You got to come out defense. You got to come out Christian Parker. You got to come out Dak, CD. You got to come out blazing. You got to win the first 2 games. Right? You got to beat Giants. You got to beat Washington. You don't want to start in the hole already in your division. 1 with the loss, and 2 not only with the loss, but now a division loss, right? Because your season is already going to be tough enough. I don't like getting into the end of the year and they're like, oh, but we need this team in the AFC to lose to this team and that team, and they mother got to have something go wrong, and her bunion got to be hurting for us to get in the back door to playoffs. So to start out, the first 2 wins you should get. But to me, that Houston game that Houston game is going to signify to me whether this football team is a physical bunch or not. Because going up against a DeMeco Ryans team, you're at Houston on that one, on the road. I Bleav after you just came back from Rio, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they're bullies. They're bullies in Houston. That team wants to bully you.
Facts.
That's their mentality of, we are going to punch you and punch you and punch you. We're going to break your bones or your spirit or both. And I want to see what it looks like when you have to meet force with force. Not finesse, but force. Are you willing to buckle up your chin strap and really go at it again and again and again? That, to me, is going to be an indicator of how games against teams like San Francisco and Philadelphia in the second half of the year and playoff teams, you got to be physical. And so that's the game that I look at early on in that game. Will the Cowboys be willing to strap it up and get into an I-45 straight up fight? That's the game that I look at on that schedule. Not the one in Rio against the Ravens, but that Houston Texans game, because it's going to be a lot on the line. Bragging rights of 45, in-state rivalry. And Houston is a physical team, man, playoff team, and they're trying to find their way back. They're looking for C.J. Stroud to take the next step, from where he did his rookie year. But that defense is going to be, that defense, Will Anderson and company and Al Shahir, that defense is going to be, and that might be the one defense where they can kind of match up on the outside, corner for corner, receiver for receiver, and just play. You know what I'm saying? With Stingley and company, they might just line up and say, you know what? Hey, we just going to play. We take our chances with CD and George Pickett, but we're going to play line up man-to-man outside and just play. And then now we're going to see whether those dudes on the interior really like that.
Ooh, yeah. Bleav in Cowboys. Jesse Holley, Roe Parrish at his FanDuel delivering it to you, just going over the schedule after it's been released. So that is the first portion of the schedule. Going into the back half to where the player that once was Jesse Holley will be looking and paying extreme close attention to those games. The back half, you got the Cardinals, Colts, the Downs reunion, which a lot of people are going to be looking forward to. Week 9 in Indy, back-to-back home games before the third all-time matchup on Thanksgiving versus the Eagles. Then you got a visit to the Northwest, the Super Bowl champs, to start December, which probably will be a cold weather game. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. And then you got 2 days after Christmas in Jacksonville. In total, you got 7 national games, 6 primetime games, 2 late season West Coast trips. Tell me on that back half of the schedule, what game or games stick out to you?
For me, it's always that around. And the Cowboys have 2 of these instances this season. Twice the Cowboys this year will play 3 games in 11 days. Oh, yeah, they care about your body. Remember that. The owners care about the players' bodies, right? They care about
safety. It's all about player safety.
The Cowboys have 2 stretches this year that they have 3 games in 11 days, okay? This will be the second one. And this is always another telling one because – yeah, you're at the end of the year and the year just weighs on you. It's a war of attrition. It's who can get to the finish line with the least amount of Band-Aids and wounds and mass units up there. And so those 3 games, another tough, critical stretch of 3 games in 11 days. And of course, I look at that schedule and I go, all right, here's the next barometer. When the Niners come to town, when you got to play the Niners, what happens? We've gotten punked. We've gotten bullied by the Niners as well. So having them back on the schedule, of course, you can bet your bottom dollar. They got it circled as well. They George Kittle, the last time the Cowboys played, and he lifted up his shirt and it said F Dallas on it. You know what I'm saying? Like they look at Dallas and like y'all little bro. Y'all little bro. We do what we want to y'all. And that until you do something about it, until you punch the bully back and they bleed and they run away, then they'll have that feeling about you. So again, it's all right, Christian Parker, all right, rule of defense, all right, Brian Schottenheimer, all right, Dak Prescott. Come on. These guys have stood in your way for years. These guys have punched you in the mouth for years, and you faltered. Now is the time. Now, like, at what point in time do you finally say enough is enough? And if you're going to win games, if you're going to be serious playoff contenders and go deep in the playoff, these are the games that you got to win. You got to beat teams like that. You gotta buckle up and have those 3 games in 11 days against very tough opponents and come out on the winning side of things, not just beating up on the under 500 teams.
Very well said. We're going to find out a lot about this Cowboys season, like a couple of months, like we're less than 100 days as we record this podcast from the start of the season. So a lot of things still have to happen. We still got OTAs on deck. We got training camp on deck. But of course, just like every year, there's tons of excitement this season about Cowboys Nation and this our year. We're hearing all the things. However, listening to what you're saying, at least about the rookie class and the defense, things seem to be a little bit different this year when it comes to the players' mentality, how they're approaching this season.
It is, and now you have to take the mentality and put it together. It has to go hand in hand with the work ethic on the field. I just think by human bodies alone that this team will be better defensively. Now, does that mean 99th to the top 10? I don't know, but I just know that you can't be worse again. You can't be the worst defense in the league again. And the players that you have out there seems to feel like they will be better, and that's going to be a progress because things have changed, bro, man. Like, you don't have as much practice time anymore. You don't have much full pads. And let me also say this, and we haven't gotten there yet, and I'm putting it out there now. If guys are not playing in the preseason, I'm pissed, especially defensively. Nobody on this team has no room to be like, oh, should be playing in the preseason. You were the absolute worst defense in the league last year. You were historically bad last year. But all those guys returning on there. And if Brian Schottenheimer and Christian Parker are truly talking about changing the culture, because I just always felt like no one fears of losing their job. No one fears like that, oh, he's going to take my spot. A coach. No one fears that. No one has feared that in the Cowboy locker room in the last 10 years or so. And I remember watching last year in the I'm like, wait, why is he not playing? What the hell has he done not to be playing? Is he hurt? No. And he's not. Wait a second. He was very Cadillac. Very, very, very white walls. You know what I'm saying? Very, very just too much of guys given positions and no guys having to earn it. It was like, oh, yeah, we want to see. With all due respect. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm careless about the Joe Milton show. Okay? I'm careless about the Joe Milton show. But there's a bunch of guys, you be like, nah. Yo, Deron Bland, you got to go play, bro. Yo, Savon Rebel, you got to go play, bro. I got to see something. The only guy, especially defensively, who should be wearing a baseball cap for 3 preseason games, Quentin Williams. Quentin Williams. Hey, Kenny Clark. Quentin Williams is here because you didn't show up last year. We thought you were the answer, and then we realized we weren't. We had to trade again. So you might need to get a game or 2 under your belt. But everybody else, man, you know, I'm not trying to say Caleb Downs go out there and get hurt, but Caleb Downs, my boy, go play a little football. This thing of everybody just is okay, and then you got to wait 3 or 4 weeks into the season to realize, no, there needs to be balls to the wall, some hard action happening on the field. There needs to be some accountability from up top. Get these players on the football field, allow them to actually play the game of football, and show us that you can play. I don't want to find week 3 in Rio that, you know what, man, this dude really couldn't play. Or maybe if he had got some reps in preseason, we would have known that.
Exactly. Well said. Looking forward to the preseason. And before we end the podcast, me and you have gone back and forth on text about this. It's been a topic of discussion on social media, internet chatter, Number 13 is the number selected by Caleb Downs. And we saw him start in number 18 after wearing number 2 in college. That's his mom's number. That's his number. That's the number that he coveted. Kobe has that number, the DB that comes in from the Los Angeles Rams. But he goes with 13. Jerseys have been printed. However, there's a chance that that might not be the number he wears. That still remains to be seen. But your thoughts on Caleb Downs taking number 13 and going with it?
I know I jokingly said when it first started out about ripping the jersey off Kobe Durant, but that was jokingly. As a at one point in time, a vet in the locker room. Yeah, Kobe, you got 13, brother. You got 13. No one's supposed to give you anything. I'm a vet too. Kobe Durant's a vet too. He earned his right to be in this league, just like you've earned your right to be in this league. No matter where you got drafted, there still had to be some sweat equity, some blood, sweat, and tears, some sacrifice, some missing this and missing that, some hurt, some pain for him to be here. So he got it first. You know what I mean? You could have made him an offer. I told you, Caleb is very calculated at what he does. His daddy told me, he's like, man, don't play about his money. He said, that boy's tight. He tight. So him being at 13, it's cool for now. I mean, who knows what happened next year? And guess what? You know who wins in the end of the road?
Mr. Jerry Jones.
Because guess what? Y'all gonna buy 13 this year, and when Kobe Durant at the end of his contract next year and he leaves, and then now Caleb Downs will have every right to the number 2. You're gonna buy 2 jerseys next year, and you're gonna have a 13 and a 2 in your closet, and they're gonna cost you $150 a piece. And all the kids gonna beg for another one for Christmas. And you know who wins? Jerry Wayne Jones. Jerry Wayne Jones wins again because you're gonna spend $1 million+ this year in jersey sales, and $5, $10, $20 million in jersey sales, and then you're gonna do it all again next year when you go on to number 2. Because he's gonna position it that way. He's gonna promote it. They're gonna do commercials. They'll put it out on the website, and they're gonna do a jersey exchange. I guarantee you, book it that I said in May of 2026 that in 2027 that the social media team will do some sort of Caleb Downs jersey exchange where they're gonna roll it out, and then now they're gonna say jerseys available in the stores.
All right, we're right.
I'm not innocent. He can make the number. Greg, go play football. Go play football, and 13 will be revered. And then you'll get 2 next year. But I'm glad he finally settled on the number. Now we can move forward with it.
There it is. Very well said. Well, we appreciate everybody for listening, liking, and subscribing. Bleav in Cowboys. We not here as much as you might see us during the regular season, but we still here giving you what you need. Before we get out of here, just to give the people some good words. Man,
this has been heavy on my heart. Yesterday we saw the untimely passing of NASCAR driver Kyle Busch. And I just want to tell you guys, man, love on your people, bro. Listen, love on your folks, man. Love on your people, because we always think, get to it tomorrow. That man posted a birthday shout out to his kids a couple days ago, and now he's not here. 41 years old. I'm 42 years old. Went to the hospital for something and never came back out. Love on your people, because you might not get a chance to tomorrow. Always remember, man, eliminate the contingencies.
Hey, man, very well said. Love, respect, and salute.